Ping 2.0 was first introduced at the 2026 Invitational.
That we can show up. And the first one I want to talk about is what we call the Ping 2.0 system. So it's an improvement on the existing ping systems that you're used to and that you've been playing with. The difference here is that you can share the positioning and the nature of gadgets that have been deployed in the environment, either by your teammates or by the enemies. So it's a really easy way to share information with your friends, even if you don't have a mic. It's like really
This new system allowed players and observation tools to use yellow pings, which were previously only available in character view. In addition, pinging gadgets is now possible, allowing for greater communication of defender setups for solo queue and full stack players alike. The change went live with Shadow Legacy despite pushback from the entire competitive Rainbow Six community. Tengu, not known for being silent on issues within Siege, has been one of the leading critics of the new system, as, in his opinion, it diminishes the importance of communication, one of the biggest separators of teams playing at the highest level. Skill in Siege is a fickle thing. Given the complexity of Siege, it's hard to pinpoint what exactly makes a player or a team good, apart from how much they win or lose. At a professional level of play, gun skill is top tier across the board. There's really no pro that's going to lose a gunfight against even above average players. Knowledge of the maps is a given, as is knowledge of the ins and outs of each role and operator. Good communication is perhaps the most sought after aspect at the professional level. Even G2, then known as Penta, had struggles in the early days. 5 players from all over Europe meant that calls were inefficient, slow, and sometimes in a different language. Compare this with Dark Zero's comms that get posted every once in a while on their Hot Mic series. These comms are clean, efficient, and deadly accurate. This is one of the reasons that Dark Zero is as strong of a team as they are. These strong comms save time, save lives, and win rounds. Even teams that have some of the best individual talent in the world, TSM, BDS, and Empire, to name a few, have all fallen victim to DZ in the past year, even with the likes of Bolo, Shaiko, and the Russian Cyborg himself. Even if you look to ranked for examples of this, let's analyze why 5 stacks are such an advantage against solo players. Again, the answer is communication. 5 stacks can know beforehand to join each other in. They develop team-specific callouts that are more accurate for certain situations than default calls, and can also communicate operator picks. Solo queue players have to hope that they're on the same page as the rest of their team, and may get calls that are complete gibberish to them. Siege is never going to not be a team-based game, so pretending that this is a problem that can be fixed is kind of silly, honestly. A 5 stack should always have an advantage over a solo queue team, and this really isn't the way to fix it. So we can agree that communication is vital to winning games in Siege. It's one of the reasons that Siege is so dependent on team more than individual performance. I will give credit where credit's due, however. The new Ping 2.0 system does its job perfectly. It makes communication between players easier than ever, with literally pinpoint accurate pings being possible without having to expose yourself to any danger. However, this effectiveness is precisely why Ping 2.0 is flawed. Ping 2.0 closes the gap between any random team and the best pro teams in the world, and will only serve to make the skill gap smaller and smaller over time. A dangerous trend that many players feel like has been happening for years at this point. Basically, this Ping 2.0 will, in its current state, make the game less competitive. There's less incentive for teams to develop good communication instead of relying on this crutch of having a perfect on-ping callout. Wallbangs will increase in frequency, roaming will become damn near impossible, and players will have their exact positions revealed without their knowledge. Ping 2.0 will, with time, also make new players more dependent on it instead of learning maps. Why would you take time learning where Pixel and MJ are when you could instead say on ping 3 wallbang wallbang wallbang? This system essentially reduces the skill curve at the very bottom, which is precisely where the curve is steepest. Now, I don't mean to say that everything is bad about Ping 2.0, there are some good changes, namely the ability to ping gadgets. This is a really good quality of life change that doesn't really impact communication at all, and doesn't really provide an unfair advantage to either side. The yellow ping being available on observation tools is pretty much the only problematic portion of Ping 2.0. Some of the responses to this that I've seen basically boil down to 1 or 2 ideas. Pros are just upset because they have to adapt their playstyles to a new system. This sentence in some form is uttered every time a new controversial change comes into the game. I think it's a pretty bad sentiment to have, just because the livelihood of professionals is literally at stake when a bad change comes into play. I would say it's fully within their rights to be outspoken about it. They understand the game better than anyone, and if something threatens the competitive integrity of the game as a whole, then they should be able to voice their opinions about it. I don't necessarily think that it's an issue with adaptability per se, but rather the precedent that Siege is setting. Allowing Ping 2.0 to stay in the game unchecked means that communication will matter less than ever. This is something that's bad for the health of the game as a whole, because there's just one less facet that can be improved upon. Anyone with a working keyboard can now basically provide free wall hacks with 0 map knowledge, next to 0 risk and 0 indication to the person being pinged. Ping 2.0 doesn't take away from the top level's gameplay, it just elevates everyone else's equally. No. Ping 2.0 makes it so that gameplay at the highest level becomes gradually more indistinguishable from everyone else by artificially adding precision to everyone's gameplay. This makes good communication next to useless. On ping went from being a terrible callout to being a callout that more often than not will result in a free kill. Maybe that statement of elevation is true, but it's definitely bad for the overall health of the game. The reason that games in general are competitive is because there is a big gap between new players and pro players. There shouldn't be any reason to close that gap. Well then, let's look at how we fix it. There are really a few possible solutions, so let's look at all of them one by one and consider how well it would solve the issue of basically flattening the skill curve. The first option is to remove ping 2.0 altogether. This isn't really a solution per se, but it would fix the issue at hand. I think it's a pretty lazy response to the issue to just get rid of it entirely, because I think the ability for solo queue players to communicate the placement gadgets is super important. However, it is better than leaving ping 2.0 unchanged, so if all else fails, reverting the change is going to be better for the game overall. Our second option is to remove the yellow ping ability from observation tools, but leave in the ability to ping defender gadgets. I wouldn't say this is really a bad solution, but I think there would have to be some sort of system implemented where a prompt would come up like press Z to ping gadget name. Considering that it took Ubisoft 4 years to make drones consistently detect bombs, the implementation of this would probably have similar issues. Furthermore, this could also occur with cloaked devices like goo mines and yokai drones. How does the game know if the player really sees the gadget or not? You could argue this could be a buff to these cloaked gadgets by making them unable to be pinged by observation tools. But then at that point, drones really just become a worse version of a mobile IQ, making her completely obsolete. A change like this isn't super realistic because it would probably just promote spinning your drone around until you find a gadget you otherwise wouldn't have seen. Solution 3 would be to have the option to disable ping 2.0 in custom games. This could fix the pro scene of Siege and make teams still have to rely on communication, but this will ultimately make new players worse at the game and ensure that the next generation of Siege pros will be worse, not better. Ping 2.0 in ranked play will still be a crutch for players with bad map knowledge and communication, and when that player or team tries comp and can no longer rely on that crutch, they're going to get destroyed. New talent in the game will be objectively worse, so while this may fix the short-term implications of ping 2.0, it will make the game less competitive as time goes on. It's a solution, not a complete solution. The final option that I can think of is removing ping 2.0 from observation tools and giving it only to operators. Even when limited to just operators, being able to ping gadgets would be great for teams and solo queue players alike. Monty could provide intel for the team on what to clear quickly and provide more clarity than with just a yellow ping. Once the system is made more robust, we'll have the potential to ping where teammates should place gadgets. This would also make a lot of sense. This is probably the best solution I can think of right now. I'm sure there are other solutions, but this is probably the most elegant and simple way to make ping 2.0 less of a problem than it is right now. It's safe to say that ping 2.0 is one of the most controversial changes in recent memory, and for good reason. Any changes that make the game less competitive aren't good for the overall health of the game, and regardless of if you're a casual player or not, the overall health of the game is what matters most. Please know that I'm not just saying this because it's what the pros say. I'll be the last one to regurgitate what the pros have been saying. It's just that I want to make these issues known to a wider range of players, casual included. I definitely feel like the fourth option is the best solution to this issue, but please let me know what you guys think in the comments. Less than 10% of people who watch my videos are subscribed, so if you like this content, make sure to take 2 seconds to subscribe. This lets me know that people are enjoying the content I'm making. Thank you guys so much for watching.